Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Sheikh Asim Al-Hakim on behalf of the parents, volunteers, and staff of Al-Manar Tarbiyah School. We at Al-Manar have a constant commitment towards nurturing productive Muslims through imparting knowledge from the Kitab of Allah and the Sunnahs of the Prophet, peace be upon him. I would like to give a brief introduction of Sheikh Asim. Sheikh Asim is of Saudi origin and is a prominent propagator of Islam in English. Sheikh Asim is the Imam of a Masjid in Jeddah. Besides speaking at our very own peace convention, Sheikh gives sermons on various Islamic topics. I would first like to call upon Brother Mahmoud Al-Haq for the recitation of Quran. Brother Mahmoud.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والسماء والطارق وما أدراك ما الطارق النجم الثاقب إن كل نفس لما عليها حافظ فلينظر الإنسان مما خلق خلق من ماء دافق يخرج من بين الصلب والترائب إنه على رجعه لقادر يوم تبلى السرائر فما له من قوة ولا ناصر والسماء ذات الرجع والأرض ذات الصدع إنه لقول فصل وما هو بالهزل إنهم يكيدون كيدا إنهم يكيدون كيدا وأكيد كيدا فمهل الكافرين أمهلهم رويدا.
Jazakumullah khair, Brother Mahmoud. Now I request Sheikh Asim to enlighten us with his speech. Sheikh Asim.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اهتدى بهديه واستنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Our topic for this morning is directed to the parents. And the role of parents in Islam is huge and extremely important, to the extent that Allah Azza wa Jal has made the biggest and most major sins in Islam to be disobedient and disrespectful to your parents after shirk. So shirk is number one. The second biggest sin is uququl walidain, to be disrespectful to your parents. And why is that? Because of the great role and importance of the parenthood in the life of an individual. It is so huge as a sin that there is no prescribed punishment in this world. So if you steal, we chop your hand. If you kill, we chop your head. If you are disrespectful to your parents, there is no punishment for you worthy of such a sin in this life. And it would be stored for you on the day of judgment. And parents must be aware of their influence and great role towards their children. Unfortunately, parenthood is like all other matters in life. There are obligations upon you and there are rights of you. As parents, we always demand and acquire our rights. My right over my son to get married and live in my house and serve me and my wife and his siblings and everyone else in the house. His wife is not obliged to do this. No, I'm not going to discuss this. This is our culture, he has to do this. I want my rights, he has to give me money. And I take this money and I give it to my second and third and fourth wife. And maybe to my children, other children. And he's working like a mule. No, I'm his father. These are my rights. What about my obligations? Usually they would say, what obligations? As a father, I don't have any obligations. I did my role. No. There are a lot of obligations upon you. And because this is directed to the parents, we're not going to talk about the parents' rights. We're going to talk about the parents' obligations. And why do we discuss the parents' obligations? It's very simple. Ask anyone. Do you want your son to pursue a career being, for example, a janitor, or being illiterate, or being a shepherd in the desert? Or do you want him to be a doctor, an engineer, a pilot, an administrator, a manager, a CEO of a company? Of course you will choose always what? The best. Yes, the best for your son. Everybody, nobody says, no, I'm happy, I want him to sell miswak. You know miswak? I don't know if it's legal here in the Emirates or not. Nah, they're banning it everywhere, even in Saudi. You cannot buy this. We used to buy it at the doors of the masjids. Now, I'm not going to go into that. Anyhow. So what do you want him to work? What do you want him to do? I want him to have the best. Okay. What about what you invest in him? We have a saying, pay peanuts, get monkeys. When you invest in peanuts, you will not get lions and you will not get strong things and a good investment of return of investment. You will get monkeys. So what you invest in your child, this is what you will get. Of course, with the grace of Allah, in the beginning, at the end. But you have to take the means, and that is why they say, what you sow, you shall reap. So if you put seeds of watermelon, you will get watermelon. If you put strawberry, you will get strawberry. Depends on what you sow itself. So, what are the rights of my child over me? What are my obligations toward my child, so that he will not be questioning me on the day of judgment? It's your mistake, Father. Right number one, you have to choose the right wife, because she's the mother of your child. Now everybody is looking, so, oh, it's too late, Sheikh. Maybe I can go for a second one. And while he was thinking, he will find a stick on his head. Bah. Well, I know what you're thinking. She says, the wife, okay, maybe you can, but the poor woman, what can she do? She already chose the wrong husband. She has no other alternative now. But basically speaking, Malik ibn Nabi, one of the great thinkers of last century, was asked, I want to raise my child on a proper Islamic way. He said, how old is he? The man said, 3 months old. He said, too late. Too late? 3 months old? Yes. Because you should have worked and planned for that before you got married. And we know the hadith, how to choose a woman, and we know the hadith, how to choose a man. So we will not get into this, but this is something that you have to put in mind. After that, even at times of intimacy, before intercourse, you have to say the dua. You have to mention Allah's name. You have to supplicate. Which means that, Islam is not only praying and fasting and then, half an hour a day and the rest of the day is for me to do what? No. It's a connection that is 24/7 in every single thing. I eat, I drink, I say Bismillah. I go to the Masjid. I have an intention when I pay sadaqah. Not to show off, but for the sake of Allah. So, a parent must be fully integrated and synchronized with Islam teachings, so that he is implementing it in his life. And we know the hadith that if through that blessed intercourse resulted a child, the shaitan will not be able to harm him. لم يضره الشيطان. When you say Bismillah, Allahumma jannibna shaitan wa jannib shaitan ma razaqtana. This dua must be memorized by every single Muslim before mating with his wife. The child is born. What to do? There are a number of sunnahs, such as a tahniq, which is a sunnah that is long gone, and it's a different of opinion among scholars. Is it specifically for the Prophet or is it for all? Tahniq, whenever a child was born, they used to bring him to the Prophet ﷺ, and he used to chew a small piece of date until it is almost dissolved. Then he takes it and he puts it at the upper ceiling of the child's mouth. So it's not a big thing, it's not hard, it can easily dissolve in his mouth. So this would be one of the first, if not the first thing to enter the child's stomach. Some say that this is specific for the Prophet ﷺ, others say that it is for all. Also, one of your obligations as a father, to give a good name to your son. And a lot of the Muslims are not doing this. A lot of the Muslims, especially in Arabia, it's a habit that they give the name for their firstborn after the name of the father. And this is no problem if your father's name is Muhammad, Abdul Rahman, Abdullah. There's no problem. But it's a problem when your father's name is Dhib. You know what Dhib is? Wolf. So we in Arabia, it's a compliment. If you're aggressive and you cheat people and you beat people, you're a Dhib, meaning you're a wolf. What kind of a culture is this? This is the culture that we bring up our children to be. Be aggressive, be strong, step on people. Don't let anyone step on you. This is un-Islamic. So who cares? We're Arabs. So you have to choose a good name for your son. And a lot of the cultures I've come encountered with, they give 2 or 3 names for an individual. So the young boy is Muhammad Imran Hussein, the son of Muhammad Imran Abdullah, the son of Muhammad Imran Ahmad. So to say his full name, it would take half an hour. And this is wrong. Give him a good name. So some of us may give his daughter a name from the culture, but it is un-Islamic. That's wrong. When the child grows up, he looks up to the name. What's your name? Sa'ad. Oh, Sa'ad. I know Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas, one of the 10 heaven bound. I know Sa'ad ibn Mu'adh. I know Sa'ad ibn Ubadah. And he knows that, oh, I have a history. Rather than, what's your name? Justin. A'udhu billah. I know Justin Timberlake. I know Justin Bieber. This is your idol. This is your role model. So you give him a good name. And also the aqiqah, you know the aqiqah. We're not going to get into this. 1 for the girl and 2 for the males. Now, one of the greatest obligations upon a parent is to protect his offspring, his children, from hellfire. And this is a must. This is not a recommendation. Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, O you who believe, ward off from yourselves and your families a fire whose fuel is men and stones, over which are appointed angels, stem and severe, who disobey not from executing the commands they receive from Allah, but do that which they are commanded. So this is your obligation. And unfortunately, if you look at the deteriorating situation of the Muslims, you will find that rarely you will find Muslims abiding by this instruction. Seriously speaking, we take the best care of our children when it comes to health, when it comes to education, when it comes to feeding. And that's why obesity is one of the highest rates among Muslims. MashaAllah, you'll find a young child, 5-6 years, and he is like 200 pounds. You say, what is this? MashaAllah, it's bulky, he cannot move. He doesn't need to learn how to swim. You put him in a swimming pool, he floats. That's one of the advantages of being obese. But this is wrong. Where is the agility? Where is the strength? Where is the... Why? Because I feed him well. I clothe him well. I choose the best for him. What about his prayer? The Prophet says, alayhi salatu wassalam, order your children to pray when they're 7 and spank them when they're 10. How is your child's prayer for Fajr prayer? Do you wake him up for Fajr? Shaykh, do you wake him up? It's 5:18 or 5:20 in the morning. It's very early, and the school is maybe 8 or 9 o'clock here, I don't know. And he will not have enough time to sleep. But you have to wake him up for Fajr. Shaykh, he's young. He's 36 years old. Inshallah, in the future he will grow up. Wallahi, I know people 36, 40, 50 years, and they don't pray Fajr. And I see a lot of the parents looking down and says, I don't know. How many of you pray Fajr on time? Shaykh, I want my son to be Imam Bukhari, Imam Muslim. Okay, well, let's look at his father. No, his father is Abu Jahl, maybe. Yeah. Why? Wallah, Shaykh, I did not have time to learn about Islam. And you know, I work from 9 to 5 and I do this and that. But my son, inshallah, would be a good Muslim and practicing individual. Ya akhi, you are his father. The Prophet says, alayhi salam, every newborn is born on the fitrah. And his father either makes him a Jew, Christian, or fire worshipper. This is your influence. You have to lead by example. But most of us, they say, the problems we live today are the cause of the previous generation. And it will be solved, inshallah, by the next generation. So what is your role? What is your role? If the problem you live in today is the last generation, our parents, and it will be solved by our children, okay, what is our role? We're just watching, Sheikh, living the American dream, living the Emirates dream, the Saudi dream, as if we have dream. It's all nightmares. We don't have dreams anymore. Our dreams is our aspiration for Jannah. This is what we want. We have been living on earth for too long. And the longer we live, we think, Alhamdulillah, khalas, we're closer to Jannah. But when we do the calculation, we find that we are getting further and further. Long ago, people used to work hard so that when they come to the age of retirement, they spend the rest of their life near Mecca, near Medina, worshipping Allah, reading Quran, doing hifz, mashallah. Nowadays, when you reach the age of the retirement, you don't want to retire. And if you retire and you want to pray Fajr, you've been living 60 years and not praying Fajr on time. Do you think you're going to change now? You can't. And this is why it is our duty to feel humble, submissive, humiliated to Allah, express our poverty to guide us before it is too late. So it is your duty to ward off your family from hellfire. Commercial break. Welcome back. So, how to do this? It's not, the religious part is the most important part, because we're Muslims. We're not people of atheism or secularism or whatever they call it. No, we are people of Islam. What derives us, what triggers us is Islamic belief. First thing comes Islam, and then, yes. So if I was given the choice, be a doctor or be a sheikh and a scholar, the majority of Muslims would say, be a doctor, then be a sheikh. No. If you had the choice, be a scholar. Why? With scholar, you give healing for the heart and you give guidance to humanity. Yes, but I cannot buy a latest model car, sheikh. You know, Islam doesn't pay in this life. It pays in the Jannah. I need something in here. And Jannah, inshallah, everybody will enter it. No. You have to set up your priorities first. So you have to take care of your child. How? Religiously, bring him up as a good Muslim. Firstly, by practicing Islam yourself. 24/7. It is ridiculous when I smoke and I tell my son, smoking is bad. When I curse the people in the market, you stupid, you don't understand, and cheat, and I say, clean your mouth. When I embezzle and steal, and I tell him, you have to be honest. He's looking at me, he says, when his mother tells, or her mother tells the girl, you have to wear the hijab. And every time she goes out, she puts a mascara and the eyeliner and the foundation, the lipsticks and the perfume, and she puts her hair out. Bye, honey. This is not the hijab that Allah ordered us. She hears something in the masjid, in the school, and the parents are doing quite the opposite. This causes conflict in the child's chest. Now my parents want me to be a good Muslim. In the house it's all Bollywood movies. Shah Rukh Khan and whatever, and dancing and rolling and climbing on trees and falling in rivers. MashaAllah, Superman, wallahi, cannot even do these things. But this is what they see, 24-hour culture. And you want them to become a good Muslim? The child is torn in between. You cannot have this, you cannot do this. You have to be a total Muslim who surrenders his will to Allah Azza wa Jal. If you look in the Quran and the Sunnah, you will find hundreds of verses. Luqman, my father's name is Luqman, and he was advising his son, not me definitely, and not my father. But this is the problem when I say to people, my name is Asim Luqman al-Hakim. They say, don't know the Quran? Yeah, we're related. What can you answer people when they ask such questions? A brother was with me yesterday when I'm coming to the airport. We were in the bus going to the airplane in Jeddah airport. So we're in the bus going to the airplane. And he sees me. He says, MashaAllah, Shaykh, where are you going? Where are we going? We are in the bus going to the airplane, going to Dubai. And you're asking me, where are you going? And what kind of a question is this? So, Luqman, what does he advise his son? La tushrik billah. Do not associate others with Allah Azza wa Jal. When was the last time you advised your son like this? And sat with him and told him and brought him with the Islamic character and moral conduct. My son, lying is not good. My son, cheating is not good. My son, being generous, being courageous, being kind, being truthful, and give him examples. Give him quality time. The Prophet ﷺ used to teach the companions how to train their children when they were 7 and 8 years of age to fast. Though fasting is not mandatory, except when they hit puberty. And this is 5-6 years from now. But still, they used to train them. And whenever they cry, they used to give them toys of wool. Why? Because this is what they want their children to believe in. Imagine instructing your child to pray when he's 7 until he is 10. 3 years. Multiply by 360 plus days. Multiplied by 5. No spanking. No punishment. It's almost 4,000 plus times. You tell your child, pray, 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 pray. When he's 10, khalas, he's programmed. Some people come to me and say, my child is 4 years of age and I take him to the masjid with me. And I said, wrong, don't take him to the masjid. Why? Because he's not instructed to do this. Yeah, but he loves it. I said, no. Whenever he says, Daddy, take me to the masjid, tell him, not now, not now. Okay, once every month you may take him as for a change if he wants. But you keep on building in him the urge to go to the masjid until he's 7. And he's dying to go to the masjid like a man. When he's 7, he said, now you come to me with, to the masjid. And take him for Fajr to the masjid. Take him for Asr to the masjid, even if he's sleepy. With love, with care, and he will inshallah never leave Salah after that. The Prophet ﷺ used to teach, preach, and mold the children he was with towards Islamic principles. Ibn Abbas, his cousin, almost the age of puberty, 12 years of age, 13, he used to make him ride behind him. And he is like 50 years older than him. Yet he's his cousin and he's a learned boy. So the Prophet invests in him. He looks at the boy. Sometimes you have a good child who loves Islam, who is intelligent. Invest in him. Plan for him to be a scholar of Islam. Rather than, oh, he will be a great doctor. Okay, we have hundreds and thousands of doctors. We have hundreds and thousands of scholars as well. We don't. We have graduates with certificates, but not real scholars, not real implementers of the deen and callers for the deen. We don't want a long beard and a short thobe and this is it. So the Prophet, what does he say to the boy behind him? How is your father, my uncle Abbas? How is your mother? How are your siblings? Where did you go? Yes. No. Small talk is not the problems. It's not the Prophet's way of speaking. Utilizing every single moment. He said, Ya ghulam, inni muallimuka kalimat. I am going to teach you words, oh boy. Hear them well. Ihfadillaha yahfadhk. Ihfadillaha tajidhu tujahak. Be watchful of Allah and He will protect you. Be watchful of Allah Azza wa Jal and you will find Him in front of you. And you know the rest of the beautiful hadith. When we want to speak to our children, do we speak to them in such level? No, they cannot understand, Shaykh. What do we teach them? Ummi rabbatu baytin, ummi ma ahlaha. Oh, these are nasheeds. And maybe the best would put some afasi. That's all. This is the Islamic teaching? No. Don't look down at your child. Treat him as a man and he will become a man. Treat him as a child and he will remain as a child. What was the name of the mother of Zubair ibn Awam? Anyone? Anyone? She was the aunt of the Prophet. Yalla, huh? Who's the aunt of the Prophet ﷺ? The Muslim Prophet, the Muslim aunt, the one and only Safiya. Safiya bint Abdul Muttalib. Her son was Zubair ibn al-Awwam. And she used to not beat him. She was very harsh on him. And they told her, why are you being harsh on him? She says, I love him so much, I want him to become a man. And he was that man. When he was 10 years of age, or 12 some say, and he accepted Islam after reaching the age of puberty, maybe 14 or 15, but he was very, very young. He heard in Mecca that someone killed the Prophet ﷺ. He took a sword of his father that was longer than him and kept on dragging it, running in Mecca. And people are looking at this child without any shirt on him. What are you doing? He said, I'm looking for the killer of the Prophet to kill him. And he was 15 or 14 years of age. And we know that he was one of the fiercest and strongest companions of the Prophet ﷺ because of his mother. And you know that his mother, in the battle of the trench of Al-Khandaq, his mother was a real woman. She killed a Jew with the stick of a tent when he was trying to spy at the fortress of Hassan ibn Thabit. She told Hassan, go and kill him, this is a Jew, he's spying on us. And all the Muslims were at the trench. He said, Wallahi, you know that I'm good in poetry, but I'm not good in fighting. So she took it and went there and killed him with one stroke. So how would the son be? Of course, one of the knights of Islam. The Prophet ﷺ, whenever he sat with children at the table, in the hadith of Umar ibn Abi Salama, he was young, like 5-6 years of age, yet he narrates this hadith. He says, I was a young boy, and my hand, we used to go here and left and right in the big plate. It's sunnah to eat from the same plate. So he was eating from in front of people and he doing this. So the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, Ya ghulam, oh boy, sammillah, kul bi yaminik, wa kul mimma yalik. Say Bismillah. When you teach a child of 5 years of age, Bismillah, and eat from what's in front of you, and eat with your right hand. Now, how many times do you tell your child, do not eat with your left, eat with your right? Shaykh, he's young. No. You teach him from a very early age, he will become a practicing Muslim. You neglect him, he's going to be like everyone else. And he will hold you responsible. It was my father's mistake. He did not upbring me on the right thing. After the Islamic teachings and courage and kindness and everything else, comes the worldly matters. Now, when I say upbring him in an Islamic fashion, I never said that ignore him in the worldly sciences and matters. No, it is part of your duty to also ensure that he is top-notch in the worldly things, in the etiquettes of speaking, eating, in living, in walking, in talking, communicating with people, in riding the horses, if we had horses, or riding the cars, in driving. So he has to be the best, because he's a reflection of your own family. When I look at a boy who is well-mannered, I wouldn't say, Akhi, what's your name? I would say, what's your father's name? What's your family? And I say, MashaAllah, Tabarakallah. This is a pleasant sight for the eye when I see such a child. And when I see one who is devilish and doing bad things, and he says, this is my father, I resent the father. I feel sorry for him. But I resent him because this is a manifestation of his tarbiyah, of his upbringing of the child, which he failed miserably. Imam Shafi'i says, it is the responsibility of the father to ensure that his son learns all these etiquettes. And if the father is gone, it's the mother's responsibility to do this. And if she is unable, she has to hire someone to upbring him in a good manner. And this was the Arabs' way. You remember that the Prophet ﷺ in the early ages, in his early age, he was sent to the desert, to the Bedouins. Why? To upbring him linguistically and in manner to the top level. After that, all the caliphs, all the rich people used to hire scholars to stay 24/7 with their children. Teach them Arabic, teach them poetry, teach them Quran, teach them how to pray, teach them how to behave. So this is all part of Islam. Nowadays, we do the same, but according to our income. So we take them to schools like this Friday school, and we ensure that our teachers are the best teachers. And we tell our teachers, take care of my son, and I want him to do this and that. Listen, he did this and that in the house, so focus on him being brave, not coward. I want him to speak publicly. He's a little bit shy. I want him to be generous. So even if you give him money to give to charity or sadaqah, this is good for you. I think we have like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, alhamdulillah. So, what else? Part of your obligations is to be fair with all of your sons. And this is one of the biggest mistakes that Muslims do. You have 3 or 4 children. One of them is an A student, and the others are B students or C students or even not good. Every year or every semester you give a prize to the A student. MashaAllah, he's best in Quran, he's best in school. What will happen? They will take him one day to the desert to race, and then you will end up finding him in a well. Not promising you that he will become Aziz of Egypt, because this doesn't happen all the time. Now, do you mean, Sheikh, that Prophet Yaqub was unfair? No, he's a prophet, and the son of a prophet, and the son of a prophet. He cannot be unfair to his children, but the love you have and you express is too obvious. It was reported that a man was with the Prophet ﷺ when a boy came, his son. So he took the boy and kissed him and put him on his lap. And minutes later, his daughter came. So he took his daughter and sat her next to him. The Prophet said, by Allah, you're not fair with them. The son, you put him on your lap. The daughter on your side. Meaning, you're favoring one of the other. And they're children, they're infants. Yet they know. So you must be fair in expressing your love. You must be fair in giving them what they need. And not to differentiate. You have to differentiate between gifts and their need. So if I have 2 sons, one goes to university and the other one is kindergarten, I would not give them the same pocket money. The eldest goes, he has a car, he has needs. So this is not gifts, this is needs. But if one needed to go to the hospital and be operated, and I paid 10,000 dirham, the other siblings would not say, but give me. Why? Oh, you gave him 10,000. This is something, gifts, yes, Eid, I give all of you, the biggest and the youngest. 500 dirhams or 5 dirhams depending on your income. Where they're all equal in gifts, not in what you give. Of course, the hadith of Na'man al-Bashir is well known, that did you give all your children the same gift? He said, no. He said, then I do not testify on transgression, on dhulm. This is transgression. Don't you want them all to be good to you? Equal? He said, yes. He said, you have to be equal to them in gifts. Of course, your obligations towards the girls is far greater. The hadith shows that by nature we are inclined to our sons more. Why? Because they are the bearer of my name. They will help me when they grow up and work and do this and that. The girls usually are neglected, though they are the softest of hearts, and they are usually the one who takes of the father and the mother when they are old. No son would come and say, I will take care of my father and be with him 24/7. Only the girls do that. And that's why the Prophet said, whoever takes care of these girls of his, Allah Azza wa Jal would make them a shield from hell. If you upbring them well, if you treat them well, if you're kind and loving and caring, and you give them to a righteous husband, they will be your shield from hell. Nothing is similar to that for the boys. Maybe the boys will cause you to go to hell. May Allah forgive us because of what they do. Also, you have to be moderate. A lot of us, and this is an important topic, but there are so many things, not enough time. When we treat our children, I know a lot of the Muslims, they seem to steam off the pressure of work on the children. Of course, when I go to my job, 9 to 5, I have problems with the boss, with the co-workers, with my subordinates, with the clients. When I drive, crazy people drive here in Emirates, you haven't seen a thing. Come to Jeddah. We play like Atari, you know, the chicken crossing the, and you do this, you do that. It's fun to drive in Jeddah. You have to be a real good driver to not to have an accident. So we are so tensed. When we go back home, we are so filled with any pressures and tension. And the son comes to you, oh daddy, my brother hit me, and he did this and he did that, and he cries to you, and you talk to the brother, the eldest, why did you do this? And you steam off him, and you put all your worries and pressures and stress on him. Will he grow up to love you and to love his siblings? Never. Some of us even may do the wrong thing by saying, when he's angry, did you pray? What does prayer have to do with my problems with my siblings or being disobedient? Whenever I'm angry, did you pray? You didn't pray? Go and pray. As a punishment. No, this, you have to be very careful with every word you speak, because it is like a nail in the wall. You can take the nail off, but the trace you can never fill. It's there forever. And some of us do not discipline their children at all. And some are so aggressive. I know a brother of mine, a friend, a very close brother. His child was 8 months old. 8 months. And she used to play with her belly. Not something below, up, belly. And he used to spank her, spank her. Akhi, I told him this is 8 months. She cannot understand. She says, no, and there's nothing wrong in the belly. What's wrong in playing your belly? And he keeps on spanking her. One day, wallahi, he brought a light bulb and he burnt her hand. And he's mutawwa'. And I said to him, wallahi, you are one of the most ignorant people on earth. Now, alhamdulillah, now he's grown up and he's much better. But unfortunately, you have to look in your psychology, because this is what is going to affect your child. Some, on the other hand, do not have any discipline. The son does whatever he does. The daughter does whatever she does and wants. And he doesn't even speak or reprimand or punish. We have to be in the middle. The Prophet says in the authentic hadith, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, put your whip. You know the whip they beat people with? In our time, khizarana, a stick. Put it in somewhere visible for the household, because this is better for their upbringing. When they know that there is a possibility, not necessarily use it, just put it there. So when the child does something, says, look at this, and the child is terrified. Khalas, I will not do it again. But not to use it at all, or to use it every single minute of the day. You have to have the balance. And you have to deal with your children with total and complete unconditional love. He is not your enemy. She is not your enemy. 24/7, love plus love plus love. But be balanced. So even when you reprimand them, you kiss them. Even when you punish them, you encourage them. And not always be negative. Lots of us in the house, why is your hair untidy? Why are your clothes dirty? Look at your fingernails. When was it last you prayed? This is always the way. You did not do your homework. Look at how you speak to your mother. Look how you speak when did you do this? Why did you do that? It's always criticizing. When did you say, what was it last? When you said a word of encouragement. When you have guests and your son comes, look at you, look at him, look at him, in front of him, look at him. He's always like this, untidy, unclean. You are demoralizing him. No. When he comes, oh, look at my eldest son. He's 9 years old. MashaAllah, yesterday he gave adhan. He led us in sunnah. MashaAllah, he knows one juz' of Quran, where he is the man of the house. How will he grow up to sincerely and really be the man of the house? And I have a lot of things to say, but unfortunately we don't have time. Last thing. I promise, inshallah, I promise. Because I don't have coffee, so khalas. Last thing, never ever give up. رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ. This is the supplication, Surah Al-Furqan, of the righteous slaves of Allah, servants of Allah, Ibadur Rahman. Oh Allah, grant us from our spouses and offspring a satisfaction to the eye, قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ, and make us imam to the believers. So in your supplication, in sujood, in fard or in sunnah, always humbly ask Allah, express your poverty, that make me and my offspring leaders, imams for the humanity, and supplicate to your child every single day, because your supplication is heard and it will be answered. And I pray to Allah Azza wa Jal that He makes us among the outstanding parents, not for the sake of people pointing out at us and say, MashaAllah, he's outstanding, but rather, as the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, and this is one of the return of investment. A big return of investment is when you are in your grave, you find that windows of paradise are being opened. Allah, where is this coming from? I didn't do this. And they tell you, this is because of the supplication of your son. When an individual dies, all his good deeds are cut off except three. One of them, وَوَلَدٍ صَالِحٍ يَدْعُو لَهُ, a righteous offspring, whether boy or girl, that supplicates to you when you're dead. So look at your legacy. When you die, will they pray to Allah, or will they curse you while you are dead in your grave? هذا والله أعلم ونسبة العلم إليه أسلم. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا محمد. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.